Welcome to another episode of How I Discovered My Gift with yours truly, David D. Simons. I am honored and delighted to have today's guest on the show. I'm telling y'all listeners, y'all are in for a treat. Welcome my brother Chris to the show. Welcome to the show, my brother.
Hey, David. Thank you for inviting me on, man. I'm excited. Can't wait to dive into this. I'm definitely looking forward to this. So thank you very much for bringing me
Yes,
on.
sir.
Appreciate that.
Truly an honor, man. Truly an honor. So I want to let y'all know about Chris. Chris is a husband, father of three, kingdom entrepreneur. You know, we love that around here. Online marketing expert, business consultant, speaker, author, licensed minister, award-winning producer, and rapper. Before y'all got even on here, we did a sound check, and I could tell he was a rapper because just by the sound check. He is the founder of
Oh,
God's Masterpiece Rapid Success System, Kingdom Marketing Secrets podcast, and the best-selling author of Kingdom Affirmations. You know we got to talk about that. He helps coaches, consultants, and course creators craft, communicate, and close premium value offers faster and better than any coach on the planet. Fact, while other coaches are doing their best to help their clients generate leads or make their first sale, we're actually helping our clients have six-figure year businesses. Chris also has been in full-time online since 2016 and has always been great. It's always been this great. Just a couple years ago, 13 days before Christmas, he only had $12.06 to his name and had the opportunity and responsibility of taking care of his wife and three kids. He borrowed $50 from his sister just to pay his $38 non-sufficient fee for the bank that was charging him for going under zero. He was on the brink of divorce and wanted to permanently end his life on a couple of occasions. In fact, one cold night in December, he called the suicide hotline and the caller was number 54. That night, he had an epiphany and realized that if he is caller number 54, that means there are 53 others who are also thinking about taking a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Woo! This is heavy. After hearing his kids play outside, he put the gun down, hung up the phone, and cried out to God. After fighting, yelling, crying, and eventually humbling himself, the peace of God overcame him, and God made it clear what he was supposed to do in his assignment on earth. He decided that day he calls his 3K in a day decision, where he knew he needed help. He sold everything he could out of his house. He took odd jobs, borrowed from every credit card, and drained his 401k to invest in a mentor and coach. 5 months later, he had his very first $3,000 day online and created a six-figure expert business in only 59 days with his rapid success system. His rapid success system is responsible for over $1 million in revenue. And more importantly, he has helped hundreds of clients and students in his program succeed, prosper, and discover their kingdom assignment in life and business. He also supports poverty-stricken people domestically and abroad, specifically in Kenya, financially to provide food, shelter, running water, medicine, and more. He lives in Texas with his family, and you can learn more about him at chrissherald.com, which we'll plug in the show notes. My brother, wow, 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 wow.
Said a mouthful, huh?
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Again, for being on the show. Wow, I have so many directions we can go, but I want to start. I want to start with the journey. Let's start with childhood. And I know you recently
Mm,
celebrated a birthday. Happy birthday
yeah, thank
to
you.
you.
Hit
But
hit a big
let's back.
milestone.
Yeah, let's talk. Let's take it to childhood. What's that been? What was that like growing up in the Harold household or as a child?
Yeah, well, me being born and raised in Texas, deep in the heart of East Texas. I'm one in city called Tyler, Texas. Earl Campbell, the football Hall of Famer. That's what he's from. He actually went to high school with my mom, so they were classmates, and graduated the same year of high school. So being in Texas, in the southern region is the Bible Belt. So of course, you grew up in church. As a kid, you was forced to go to church. I grew up in the old traditional Southern Baptist church, and there all day and night. And the pastor, whooping and all that kind of stuff. So you just grew up in it. My mom made me go, even though most of the time, didn't want to go. And my great grandmother also, when my mom was making me go, she was making me go. She was making us do Bible study in between the week, during the week in between services. So I had the foundation from my mom. I grew up with both parents, but my mom was really, with the foundation for us, introducing me to Christ at a very young age, and my great grandmother as well. And so yeah, so like most people in the South, you go to church all the time, and but then as you get older, you start making decisions on your own. And I think once I hit high school, I got bored with church. Even though I was still was going, I got kind of intrigued by alternative lifestyles, with the things that a lot of guys were doing on the street. Even though didn't really have a reason to. I grew up. We didn't grow up poor, so I can't say we grew up poor. We weren't rich either, but compared to my cousins and stuff like that, they saw us as like mini rich, even though it wasn't really rich, but they grew up poor. So, but yeah, just got intrigued by those in the streets, and got distracted in high school. Started hanging with the wrong crowd, and grades started going down. I was a straight A student up until then, and involved in sports. I just kind of got distracted. I played sports all the way up to high school, but I still will allow some things to distract me for a while, and it take me off the path that I know God was wanting me to go. But we can talk about it more later. But overall, I grew up knowing God. It was a strong foundation, but kind of like most, once you kind of hit those late teen years, you get intrigued by the world and things of the world. So I got distracted, to say the least, as well.
I hear that. I hear that. So basically, like you said, grew up in a you know, Bible church going family, and then kind of, I can relate. Maybe got sidetracked, got pulled by the allure and the friends,
Hmm.
all of that stuff. So then, what did you talk to me about career? How did you get into, from high school and
Okay.
maybe
Yeah.
all of that after
Yeah.
everything?
Well, because I kind of, I graduated and everything like that, but the last my junior and senior year, I was getting in trouble a lot, hanging with the wrong people, getting expelled from school, and everything like that, and eventually, was getting in shootouts, getting involved in gangs, and getting shootouts, and one time it was so crazy that my house got shot up a couple times after
Wow.
after this, and now I'm out there acting crazy. Plus, my house getting shot up now. My family's there. My great grandmother's living with us at this time, and the second time my house got shot up, her room, the bullets all nearly hit her room, and when that happened, I knew that I needed to leave. Something need to change, because if I stay where I was staying, I probably wouldn't be before you today. Because a lot of people, I got a lot of people I went to school with who died at 17, who died at 18. I
Wow.
mean, right? So I knew I needed to leave. So I had some cousins who had joined the Air Force, and I talked to them about joining the Air Force right when I graduated from high school. And I decided to join the Air Force so I can leave, leave all that drama behind. And so I joined the Air Force right out of high school, and they had me stationed over in California, a few different assignments, one year over in South Korea. But the crazy thing about it, when I left home for like 2.5 years, the very first time I came back home, this how moms be knowing. At this time, I'm 20 years old. I came back home for the first time, joined the Air Force after 2.5 years. My mom said, don't go hang out. I had a friend named Slag. His real name was Tommy.
Mm,
And Tommy then was gang bangers and drug dealers, right? And she said, don't
mm.
go hang out with them. I'm like, why? She said, they've been getting in trouble a lot. I said, okay, mom, all right. Well, what did I do? When I got there, what up, man? I'm back home. And
Right.
literally, this was July 4th, 1994, man. First night I got home, we were hanging out in the club parking lot. There's maybe 400 people out there hanging out. Somebody came by, did a drive by. Pow, 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 pow. Shot up the place. Everybody ducked down. Everybody got up except for me. I couldn't get up because I was hit. I got shot with a 12 gauge shotgun my very first night coming home by a guy that I was getting into it with before I left home, but he was shooting at my friend this time because they was beefing. So the
Oh,
very first night I came home after 2.5 years, I got shot with a 12 gauge shotgun on July 4th, 1994. And the doctor said, if the guy would have been like 15, 20 feet closer, I wouldn't be here today. So I got shot with 12 gauge buckshots. I still got buckshots in my body to this day. They had to do emergency abdomen surgery. I got a scar from my sternum all the way down. below my belly button, where they had to go in and do emergency abdomen surgery on me. And and that was like one of the very first times, I realized, okay, God is sparing you for a reason. Because
Wow.
literally, I could have been gone, right? And so, after that kind of passed, I went back to the Air Force and kind of did the rest of my time. I did like 7 years in the Air Force, but even with that, I still was rebellious. After I got healed up, after about 3 or 4 weeks, I'm like, oh, I'm back at it. I'm like Tupac. Took 5 shots. You can't stop me. That when you're young, you make a lot of stupid decisions, right? And
Right.
at this time, I was back. I was in the world, and so I started, hanging with the wrong people. I was stationed in California. Started hanging with the wrong people out there, going to a lot of parties, wild parties and stuff like that. And one time, I was fighting with my girlfriend at this time. I was drunk. She was drunk. And we got in a fight while I was driving. And literally, I think she pulled the steering wheel. Something's happened, and the car kind of just crashed. The car got totaled. And we got stuck on railroad tracks. And literally, the car was totaled, but we both walked away unscathed. That was like the second time near
Wow.
death incident, right? And I'm like, okay. And then, God is speaking to me. At that time, I was probably like 22, 23 years old, and I'm like, okay. It's the second time that literally I should have died. The car got totaled, but we walked away unscathed. And you would thought that would have did it, but still being hard headed, still acting a fool, wilding out, to eventually, things kind of hit the fan with the military. I wasn't a good fit, with the military. I was too wild, hanging with guys in the military who was in the Air Force who didn't want to be in the Air Force. We act like we wasn't in the Air Force. So eventually I had to separate from the military. And that was kind of my wake up call, because it was unexpected, and I was 25, and I did not want to come back to Texas. So when I was discharged, I stayed out there in California, and at that time I had met my wife. Now I met her 3 months, 4 or 5 months prior to me getting out the Air Force, and I had no place to go, and she let me stay with her. And at that time, that's when I had a supervisor who told me, you need to come to my church.
Mm.
It said, they said, they said, her name was Deborah Bell. She said, God got a call in your life, and you need to come before you die. It's a,
What?
and so literally, I came to church with her that following Sunday, and it was a youth pastor preaching that day, which was like perfect. I'm 25. He may have been like 28, and he was preaching about a guy who had, I think his name was Fred Lane. He used to play for the Carolina Panthers. He died at a very young age.
Mm.
And he was sharing a sermon, and he shared the story about that man, that you can be young, you can die too, guys. He said, I've done funerals with people in their 20s right here. And that hit me that day. So that day I actually got born again, and yeah, so I got born again that day. And my wife and I at that time, we was boyfriend and girlfriend, we was living in sin. We made a vow that day to no longer live in sin. So for
Wow.
2.5 years, we went abstinence.
Wow.
We made a vow that we're not going to engage in any kind of sexual activity again until we're married.
Wow.
And I didn't think I had the power to do it. It was only God.
Amazing. That's
And but yeah, and so so we got married 2.5 years later, and we've been married ever since. God willing, to be 22 years in September. In September 2024, what be 22 years. But yeah, just one thing led to another. Then at that time, I got involved in the music business. I think I shared with you earlier. My wife was a singer songwriter. I met a guy at that time in California who took me to the studio. And at this time, I used to do music too in high school. I was messing around with music, but he took me
Yeah.
to a studio. I fell in love with it. I started producing music. We started writing raps. And next thing you know, 2 or 3 years later, I launched my own music label. I had 14 artists signed.
Wow.
Uh, but this time was Born Again, and I won a music. I got award. I won a music award in L.A. for the best holy hip hop and urban gospel CD. I got a CD
Wow.
over here. I can show you. I had a group called Contagious Sounds of Psalmist Reformation. I got the cover right over here, and when we released the CD, let me grab it for you really quick.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we won a music award. But this is the CD we released. We won a music award for this in Los Angeles. It's called Contagious Sounds of Psalmist
Okay.
Reformation.
That's
And
what's
it's
up.
basically so yeah, so it's a mixture of urban gospel and Christian rap, right?
That's that's amazing. I used to be a Christian rap DJ. As,
Oh, for real?
yeah. That's Wow, wow.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Awesome.
so one thing led to another, and like I said, was in the music business for about 12 years and whatnot. And then around 2002, 2003 ish, I got introduced to like digital marketing online.
Mhm.
Because at that time I was creating I was creating courses, helping independent artists sell their music online, and a
Yeah,
guy introduced me to uh, online marketing, and he was like, "Hey, this is how you can sell more, or you can create music courses and teach people how to do stuff in music." So I started creating courses around '03, '04. I started blogging around that time. So I was helping people in the music business while I was selling digital courses like 20 years ago. It was like, oh man, this is like the best thing ever. I
yeah.
can sell stuff right there on the internet and don't have to go face to face. And then at the time, it's kept growing, for his interest in online marketing, and eventually, it led to the point I was able to, quit my last job in 2016. I fired my job on August 23rd, 2016. 5 days after my birthday at that time, so it was another birthday gift. And I've been full time online, as an online marketing coach and consultant ever since.
Wow.
And so yeah, it's just you know it's interesting. You look back on a lot of the stuff you go through, but everything has a purpose behind it and a reason for
For sure, for sure. That's phenomenal, brother. What a journey. And
it.
wow, what a blessing to have you here. I mean, through all of the things you went through. I mean, goodness, that's inspiring in itself. So, I would ask you, man, to show how I discovered my gift. We really get into gifting. When you evaluate and you look at over your childhood, you look over your life, what is your most dominant gift?
Ooh, I would say creativity. You know, um, one of the most profile. Like we have someone when they think of God, what do they say? God is love. Or God is good. You know,
Hmm.
but the very first revelation God gave us of Himself was a God of creation, of
Hmm.
creativity. And He's made in our image. So I think from music background and online marketing background and web design background, when I look at all these things, it all is about creativity. Creating. Being able to create something that didn't exist.
Right.
And so I look at the creativity, aspect of the gifting that because I believe God has given everyone gifts, and everyone is made in the image of God. So there's gift of creativity, but you have to really hone in on it,
Yeah.
and develop it and realize, man, this is the first thing that God revealed Himself as a God of creation, and so we made it His image. So that means that I can create too. That
Yeah.
I have the same image and likeness. So I think in creativity, being creative with everything, like I got some videos that I created for my business. I got 5 music entrepreneurship videos,
Hmm.
right? And I was inspired because I was like, okay, I'm no longer active in the music business. I retired from the music business a few years back, but I was like, what could I do to be different than my competition, than my counterparts? I was like, hey, guess what? There's nobody rapping talking about their business.
Yeah.
There's no one singing talking about this. So I literally created 5 videos. I did one for 2 of my challenges. I did. I got another video that I did for my marketing agency company. I got another one that I did for my book, Kingdom Affirmations, right? And another one I did for my podcast. So I literally
Mm.
created songs and shot videos, marketing the different, using music, the creativity of music, in video. So I knew that would separate me from everybody else. So when they see, they're like, "Oh my goodness, this guy's rapping, he's singing, and it's some good stuff, right?" And they're like, "Wow, who
Yeah.
does that?" So yeah, so that's just taking that creativity, the same gifting God gave me in music, 30 years ago or whatever, and applying it to what I'm doing today. As an
Phenomenal.
example.
That's phenomenal. Wow. Wow. So, and when would you say you recognized that creativity was your most dominant gift? What would you say is the first earliest remembrance of it?
I guess if I go back to high school, because getting involved in music.
Yeah.
You know, I've always been involved in sports and I did karate, but I think music, because when you see God spoke things into existence, basically God created something from nothing,
Right.
When I literally created and produced over like 1,000 beats, 1,000 tracks, and I'm like, that came from nothing.
Wow.
Literally. So if I can go on the piano, like, I can go on the piano and start just move around with the chords and create
Yeah.
something, add the drums and add the different things and element of making a song, or just creating a song, right?
Right.
Writing lyrics to a song. They came, you had nothing.
Mm.
Then all of a sudden you have something like a CD,
Yeah.
like a book,
That's right.
like I said, like a CD, like a book. Those things, at one time it was nothing. It was in here. It was in here, but
Right.
but you manifested some on the inside and the outside, and that's the same thing that God did. And to me,
Mm.
there's no greater honor, like, man, Lord, then create a book, then create a program or a course online, then to create a music CD, because that's like that falls, that reading and writing and composing and producing, that falls right in line with who God is. To
Right.
me, there's no greater honor. Like, man, I'm honoring who God made me to be, a creator.
Wow. That's deep, bro. I've never looked at it like that. That is so
Mm,
deep.
yeah.
So
Just
when
like
you
your podcast here.
that,
I mean, same thing. Like, you creating episodes. You had no episode, now you're creating some. God inspired you to do this. And so you're taking your gift
mm,
as well, and everything you do. So we're actually fulfilling the purpose of God when we create, when we write, when we produce, when we compose, creating
right.
content, producing new videos, stuff that didn't exist.
Yeah,
Now we brought it to existence. And if you
absolutely.
think about it, other folks can benefit from it. So that's right in the line of God's will, because He
That's
wants
deep.
us to benefit one another. That's why He give us these giftings for.
That's true. Absolutely. So if you don't mind, I'd like to go into, right. You talked about a very significant turning point in your life, investing into a coach, right?
Yeah,
And you you essentially did this, and you sold some items, and talk to us about this. And because so we talk about 3 Ds on the show, and I'll get to the third D in a second, but we talk about discovery, we talk
mm,
about development, and I'll get to the third D. But so I want us to go into development, right?
yeah,
Development. And this totally deals with personal development, developing of oneself. And
yeah.
yeah, so talk to me about this.
Oh
You
yeah,
invest in
yeah,
yourself.
yeah. Development is vital for anyone. I think it took me a while to understand this, but God will give you a vision, or He'll show you the outcome, but He won't give you the steps you need to take to get there, or He won't lay out the path, the journeys, the ups and downs. Because if He shows you got to go through these ups and downs, then you're not going to do it, right? You can be like, I'm cool, I'm gonna stay where I am, God. That's too hard. I'm not going to do that.
Right,
So God is, He has a sense of humor like that. He's like, here's the outcome, here's what I have for you. But it's a lot of stuff you got to go through to get to that point. Just like, if you a fine diamond, or go through the refinery process. So
right.
I would say that, yeah, I share the story of where I was and what happened, but going through that was moment, I've discovered that that's the most important moment, going through the refinery process, going through the journey, going through the development.
Mm,
That's when you're becoming who you are, right?
mm,
Like, success is not a destination, it's the
mm,
process, it's the journey and the development of investing in coaching. Because one thing I've discovered, no matter where you are in different levels, you're always going to hit a gap, you're going to hit a plateau,
mm,
right? No matter where you are, like I tell my clients now, doesn't matter where you are, you may have some results, earning your first $1,000 in your business.
yeah,
It's a journey. And once you do that, now you want to get to 5,000. Guess what? It's a gap going from 1,000 to 5,000. It's a
yeah,
gap going from 5,000 to 10,000, or your first 6-figure year or multiple. So there are
right.
gaps along the way. And to me, there's only two ways to fill those gaps:
Mm,
mistakes or mentors,
that's right.
right? In my opinion, mistakes are a lot less expensive. And, my mentors are a lot less expensive than mistakes,
For sure.
right? And so once I on my way to trying to grow, I plateau. I'm like, okay, I'm doing what I can do in my power based off my. So it's a saying I have that is called. I say, your best thinking has you where you are today. Your best thinking has you where you are today. So if you want something new, guess what? You got to take on a new way of thinking.
Right.
And it's insanity doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different result. So you got to take on a new way of thinking. And the best way to take on a new way of thinking is finding someone who has the results that you want, and get their thoughts. Guess what? you get to compress time frames now. You
That's
know,
right.
what would take you 5 years by yourself, grinding and hustling and making mistake after mistake. With a
Right.
mentor, you can take 5 years and compress it into 5 months. So
For sure.
mentorship compresses time frames. It speeds up the cycle and the journey. So yeah, so at one time when I had $12.06 to my name, I was at a pace. Literally, I was depressed. I was frustrated. My wife was ticked off. She was she was ready to divorce me because she was tired. We got kids, and she's like, okay, this is it's too up and down. There's no enough income coming in,
Mm.
and I had $12.06 to my name. I wanted to end my life, and like I said, but God delivered me from that. But
Mm.
after God delivered me from that, I still had to make a decision.
That's real. I want to speak to something. I want to just kind of dig into that deeper if you don't mind,
Okay.
because this is something I don't feel a lot of people talk about, and I'm so glad you're open to have the conversation. Because sometimes people feel like, well, I'm a believer. Believers don't deal with suicidal thoughts, and
Yeah.
that's not true, right?
Right.
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 First thing. So I just want to, because you're at this moment, you already blood bought, Bible believing,
Yes.
trusting in God, married man, honor God in abstinence. Like, you're doing all the things kingdom. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so if you could speak to that for a second, if you don't
Oh
mind.
yeah. And you know what? If you would have asked me this question a year ago, I wouldn't be able to give you the answer I can give you now. I just discovered why about 4 or 5 months ago, why I've dealt with suicide thoughts for so long when it comes to my business.
Mm,
And yes, believers, I told my wife this. No one wants to commit suicide. They just want the pain to stop.
mm,
Right? That's why when I can see people in the world who don't know God, don't know Christ, committing suicide, some people are like, how could they do that? I said, I can understand. I said, unless you've been in that pain, all you want is the pain to stop. But if you don't have a foundation that provides hope and you're relying on yourself or humanity, that's why they do it. So I could I have empathy for those who do. I understand, right? I
mm,
can empathize with those who do it because when I was going through my moments, I just wanted the frustration to stop. I just wanted the pain to stop. I just wanted things to turn. I really didn't want to hurt myself up, but it's like I don't know what else to do. I'm praying, I'm believing, I'm serving at church, I'm quote unquote tithing, like the pastor said. I'm I'm
yeah.
I'm, I'm getting blessed by the prophets and all this stuff. I'm working hard. I'm doing all the good religious duties, expecting God to bless me, and yet I wasn't being blessed. Business was not prospering, and it made me mad and bitter toward God.
Mm,
'Cause I was like, Lord, I'm serving. I'm at
mm,
church 25 hours a day, 8 days a week. I'm in every ministry. I'm giving. I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to do. The
mm,
pastor told me I'm supposed to be blessed. Why am I not blessed? Why am I
mm,
struggling?
mm,
But it wasn't until I recently hired a life coach about 5, 6 months ago to deal with a lot of stuff in my past. And what was I was able to discover was that my significance was coming from the results of my business, not in what Christ already had given me.
mm,
See, I thought God loves me when my business is prospering, and I believe that God hated me when my business was struggling.
mm,
And I felt that since I'm representing God, since I'm doing this, I should not be struggling. I should not be having these issues because why? My God's a God of abundance, not a God of lack. My God
mm,
on the count on 1,000 hills. I'm quoting all these scriptures. My God, greater is in me, greater is He's in me, is in the world. I'm quoting all these scriptures, yet deep down inside, I'm hurting and don't believe they're true because I'm struggling.
mm,
I'm becoming broke. A married man with kids having $12 to his name,
mm,
13 days before Christmas. So I'm like questioning God. I'm questioning the Bible. I'm questioning all this stuff.
mm.
And so I wanted to end it all, right? And so because I just wanted the pain to stop.
Right.
But I didn't realize how unhealthy I was. And it goes back to my childhood. A lot of
Yeah.
times we do things looking for significance from our parents,
Yeah.
right? And so we take it to adulthood where the results of my business with myself, if I'm prospering, God loves me.
Yeah.
If I'm having challenges, God hates me. So I'm like, what I got to do to make God love me again,
Mm.
right? But then God had to, you know, heal me from that, but also remind me when Christ got baptized. You know, when Christ
Yeah.
got baptized, God said something profound. He says, you know, this is my beloved son with whom I'm well pleased.
Right.
But what did Christ have to do to get that confirmation, the affirmation from God? He did
Mm.
nothing because he got baptized before his public ministry.
That's right.
So God wasn't giving us confirmation, affirmation after he went out and healed the sick and raised the dead and did all these good things. No, he told him that before, just because who he is. So it took me a while to be like, God loves me regardless of the results of my business.
Mm.
God loves me just for who I am in Christ,
Mm.
right? God loves me because I'm creating his image.
That's right.
So I had to get healed, you know, and get a renewed mind and understand that the results of my business has nothing to do with how much God loves or does not love me.
Mm.
And
That's
so, well,
powerful.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's powerful, man. That like you setting some people free today, especially my Kingdom entrepreneurs, right? We definitely do that. We identify our identity based on the
Yeah,
business, not based on the sonship that we have
yeah,
with
yeah.
Christ.
The
Wow.
orphan spirit. And I didn't
Yeah.
realize I was an orphan until it was brought to my attention about 4 or 5 years ago. But that's the
Mm.
orphan spirit where, you know, you're doing things for affirmation. Like you do things to get recognition from people and recognition from God because you think that's, you know, now I've arrived. And
Mm.
that's unhealthy. But it took
Yes.
me years, you know, I didn't really get this awareness until about 5, 6 months ago.
Wow. That's powerful. And I mean, it's in your bio, right? But that moment, that turnaround point, if I'm correct, please correct me if I'm wrong,
Hmm.
was in that moment when you're caller number 54 and you're thinking, you weren't even thinking about yourself. The thing you were thinking about was, I could have helped these other 53 that got to me. So would you say that deliverance, I guess the seed for your transformation and exiting that season of your life into your next season was realizing your purpose was beyond you, and then going from there? What are your thoughts, or how would you categorize that?
Yeah. Yeah. I often share that. That's when I had an epiphany when I literally called a suicide hotline. And first time I ever called them in my life. And they told me, please hold, you're a caller 54. And I was like, oh my goodness. If I'm caller 54, you know, that means there are 53 other folks out here are thinking about taking a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And that's when I really had that epiphany then, like, oh. And at that moment, I hung up the phone. I yelled, I screamed, I cussed. You know, God can handle it. He already know how we feeling anyway.
Yeah.
But I was just, God, let me get all my emotions out because I needed to get it out my system. I was just frustrated. I was depressed. I was angry. I had all these range of emotions going through because I just didn't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And about 10 minutes, he calmed me down, and I heard 3 words:
Mm.
trust and obey.
Mm.
I heard 3 words: trust and obey. And at that moment, I shut everything down. I had another mentor I was following at the time. I stopped messing with him because things weren't going good with him anywhere. I just shut everything down and trusted God in the moment. But then after about a 3 or 4 week period, I knew I had to do something. And God said, okay, it's time to put legs to the prayer. You know,
Mm.
a lot of folks wait on miracles. You
Mm.
know, religious folks love to wait on miracles, expect God to do it. God said, I'm not going to do it for you.
Mm.
I'm gonna get you in the right state. You know, Jesus rebuked folks who wanted miracles.
That's true.
So I had to put legs to that prayer, and I know I needed help,
Mm.
right? And and yes, I had at that time $12 success to my name, but I had to make a decision. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I had to make a decision, not a choice.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of folks make choices. Very few people make decisions, and I made
Mm-hmm.
a decision. I'm gonna kill off all my other options. I'm gonna do this no matter what. And I found the money. I found a mentor who could help me. I reached out to him, told him where I was. He told me how much it would be to invest in this program. At this time, this was a guy. It was a $24,000 program. As you know now, we've invested more now, but at that time, it was a $24,000 program. I did not have $24,000. But what did I do? I didn't say I can't do it. I said, how can I?
Mm.
Right? Because I
Yes.
knew I had no other choice.
Wow.
I couldn't go back to the lifestyle and make excuses. Well, what God has for me is for me, and well, we
Mm.
don't God's time. No, I knew I had to make a decision, and
That's
so
right.
I became resourceful. And guess
Mm.
what? I came up with $24,000 in a few days.
Wow.
We can do. I'll tell folks, there's no dollar amount that we can't get once you make a decision to get it.
That's right.
That's business stuff. There, a
You,
lot of
you,
folks
gotta
that
you gotta
don't
say
have the
that. You
money.
gotta say that again, man. That's too fire right there. You say that again.
Yeah, there is no dollar amount that we can acquire. If you live in quote unquote what people call an advanced country, right? There is no lack. The only thing you lack is being resourceful,
Mm.
right? So money's all around us. Money's just an idea. We can go to anybody's house in America and probably come up with $20,000, $30,000 just like that. The point is, people don't make decisions to change their life. They make choices because they want to do it when they're comfortable.
Mm.
So it's not that they don't have the money to invest in themselves. They don't want to. They don't want to invest in themselves because they want to stay comfortable and create the dream business at the same time. Guess what? That's not possible.
Right.
So yeah, so I made the decision. I found the money in many different ways, and it was the best decision I made because literally
Mm.
after I made that investment, a few days later, I was able to do my first 4-figure day online. I was able to create a 6-figure business in 59 days,
Mm.
and but if I didn't make that decision when I thought my bank account told me that I couldn't, I wouldn't be
Mm.
before you today. That's for sure.
Wow. That's amazing. So if you could, if you could share with folks, you know, the development, right? So you said it, right? So one, you believed in investing in yourself, which not
Yeah.
everybody does, right? So you got that mindset, but then, as great as coaches are, um, coaches ain't gonna do the work for you. You know,
No.
a good coach won't do the work for you. Most coaches won't do the work for you, right?
Right.
Um, they'll guide you to it so you can be able to do it over again and over again. So, what is the development in addition to the personal development that you had to do, the work that you had to do on your mind, but the discipline, the things that you would do that nobody knows?
Mm,
I don't know whether it's like, hey, turn off the TV and just zoning
yeah.
in, reading and
Yeah.
studying and perfecting the craft. But what are those things the disciplines that you did to become an amazing online marketer, amazing business coach? What are those things that you did
Yeah.
development wise behind the scenes?
Yeah. Even when I had my job, and this is important because a lot of folks feel I've had people come to me, well, Chris, I work a job, so I can't do this. That's not true. I said I work the job too,
Mm,
right? I just prioritize my time.
mm,
But I can remember when I worked my job, and that's what actually inspired me to write my book, Kingdom
mm,
Affirmations. I had these affirmations on 3x5 card, like 100 of them. Like I used to have a big board in my room, and these affirmations. I literally recorded myself on my phone, saying the affirmations in my own voice, and
yeah.
every morning, every noonday, and every night when I go
Mm,
to sleep, I would listen to these affirmations over and over and over and over and over, and get
yeah.
them deep into my subconscious, way before the results actually became actually manifested itself.
Mm,
But I retrained my mind. I,
mm,
I I took on a new identity. Like if I want to be that 6-figure earner, that multiple 6-figure earner, I had to take on an identity. What does a 6-figure earner look like?
right.
So even while I'm earning $1,000 a month part time, I had to take on a mindset of a person doing $10,000 a month,
Mm,
$20,000 a month, thirty thousand
right.
dollars a month, right? And so that kind of work, affirmations, mindset stuff. Of course, prioritizing your time. Like I
Right.
said, you mentioned television. I had to stop watching the air. I call it air, AIR,
Mm,
the automated income reducer. That's what
mm,
television is. The more you watch of it, the more money you lose. It just
mm,
like clockwork. The more TV you
wow.
watch, the bank account gets lower and lower and lower. So it's the automated income reducer, the television. Because I got tired of watching people more successful than me.
Yeah.
You know, and so yeah. So you cut that down. You prioritize your time. The people
Mm,
you hang around.
That's
I
good.
don't have many entrepreneur-minded people in my family. Heck,
Mm,
even the churches I was attending wasn't a lot of entrepreneur-minded people. So I had to change my circle. I had to buy my way into different circles.
mm,
One of my mentors told me this long time ago. She told me that you got to buy your way into the right circles, Chris. And I was like, what do you mean? She said, most likely you're not going to have family and friends that desire what you desire.
mm.
So she said, you got to buy your way into coaching programs, buy your way into masterminds, buy your way into people who think differently than others, but think like you think and desire the same thing you desire because you need to surround yourself around those people.
That's good.
Right? So it's those things, being disciplined, doing the work, prioritizing my time, even outside of a work schedule, right? And
Yeah.
still balancing time with my wife and balancing time, with the kids as well. But
Right.
it can be done if you prioritize your time. Then you you
Mm,
know you may miss a lot of your housewives show for the ladies and the fellas. You may miss a lot of the NFL and NBA. But guess what? That stuff is not paying you anyway.
that's right.
It's making you broker.
Mm,
So at the end of the day, you got to prioritize like where do I want to be. I used to love watching sports. I knew all the stats, knew everything. I would argue with you, Dad, who the greatest player on the planet, and them dudes don't even know I exist. Yet I'm
mm,
wasting all my time and energy talking about how great they are, and
mm.
and they're ultra successful in their craft, while I'm
Right.
struggling living paycheck to paycheck. So
Mm.
I had to get new identity, new habits. Had to start thinking as rich people think, you
Yeah.
know, and start examining my poor habits, right?
Mm,
So if someone's a poor habit, I had to let it go and replace it with a rich habit,
mm.
right? So that mental work, the habits, the behavior, right?
Wow.
All that stuff is all part of the journey. Of course, the mentorship and the coaching, all the other stuff. So all that stuff has a big effect on everything that you do, right? It's not just one thing; it's a combination of many things,
Mm.
and you got to do it consistently and persistently over time,
That's
right? Because
good.
I believe what you do now shows up 90 days from now,
Mm,
6 months from now, or a year or two from now. It's just like
mm,
planting the seed, but
mm.
that's a biblical principle. God is not mocked. Whatever you sow, you know, you will reap. God promised you, but you can't sow and reap the harvest in the same season.
Sure
So
can.
sow the seed now. God promised a harvest will come if you do everything you're supposed to do. Nurture it, water it, get right sunshine, which is yourself, right?
Yeah.
You will produce a harvest
That's gold.
in due season. All right.
Wow. I love that, man. Wow. I mean, you dropped so many gems, man. That's just like, I really want people to take what you're saying to the bank and just take this seriously, right? The new identity, the new rich habits, the mindsets. That's the real deep work, right? That a lot of people don't
Yeah.
want to do and deal
Yeah.
with. They want the result, but they don't want to, they don't, and they want the fruit, but they don't want to deal with the root stuff,
Yeah. It's not
and
fun.
this is the reality, right? Pulling out those wrong things we've learned in childhood, friends, family,
Right.
even, right?
Right.
And
Church too.
church, right?
Church.
Yeah, church. I like
Sure.
what you just said. Buy yourself into certain circles. It's so true. It's so true. So um let's talk about the business, right? Let's talk about what you guys do and the rapid success processes, systems, and all the things that you do. Talk to me about the business. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I have my rap success system, and what we do in there, I help coaches, consultants, course creators be able to craft, communicate, and close premium value offers with our rap success system. And so it was a system. Around 2020, I began using a new sales process of client acquisition. I've done it all online. I've done everything with I can list of stuff: blogging, automated webinars, VSLs, you name it, groups. I mean, the whole nine. And I began using a different process I got introduced to in 2020, and it generated way more, not just more revenue, it created more transformation for my potential clients.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it literally took a complete stranger to a buyer in 5 days or less, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because after 5 days, a complete stranger felt like they knew me, they liked me, and they trusted me. And literally, you could take somebody who doesn't know you and turn to a client in 5 days or less, and it blew my mind. Like, wow, this
Yeah.
is amazing. Results in advance, know, like, and trust process.
Yeah.
So began doing that. Then around a year and a half after that, 2 years after that, I began helping other coaches, consultants, and course traders and experts be able to do the same thing because they
Mm-hmm.
like they attended my my virtual events or whatever, and they're like, I want to do what you do. I love this. I'm going to use this too. So I
Right.
began teaching others to do it, and that kind of evolved into my rapid success system, where where we help them do that nowadays, and really fast. So like most folks are doing methods and techniques now, they may take them 6, 9, 12, 15 months, to close someone. You literally can close someone in 5 days or less, you know, because I've done it several times where a complete stranger didn't know me from Adam or Eve on this planet,
Yeah.
but a few days later be willing to invest thousands and thousands of dollars with you because of the amount of value and transformation and that took place. So yeah, so my rep success system is kind of based around that with some other little extra little nuggets in there as well. But yeah,
That's
it's
phenomenal. Phenomenal. So regarding this, right? So you help these experts, coaches, consultants, speakers, creators to put these courses together. And what would you say is like the thing that people come to you before they get that unlock? What is the thing that they are usually what's holding them back? And then what is that transformation they see as they work with you? What would you say is that their greatest transformation as they work with you to take on
yeah.
what taught them?
Well, yeah. I think the greatest thing hold people back is their mindset.
Mm,
The biggest challenge God had with the children of Israel was their mindset. He was
mm,
trying to deliver them from bondage and slavery, but
yeah,
they were intimidated going to the promised land. And they got mad at Moses, them, and Joshua, like, take us back to bondage. We'd rather be here been busting bricks all day and eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches instead of going to a land flowing with milk and honey. Their
yeah,
mindset, right? They
yeah.
had a slave and bondage mindset. But why? Because they want to stay comfortable. That was
Mm,
their comfort zone. That's what they knew. The promised land was new to them.
that's right.
And I believe more people fear success than they do failure.
Mm,
Promised land, promised success. They like, we
mm,
never experienced that, God. We're used to
mm,
failure. So let us stay comfortable in failure. And I think that's the problem with so many people today is that, and they don't realize it because it's in their subconscious mind, right?
mm,
That they're comfortable staying average, and they
yeah,
have a bad relationship with money because a lot of them think money is evil. So, or you've been bad teachings. So if you think money is evil, then guess what? You're never going to attract the very thing
yeah,
that you hate,
that's
right?
right.
You're going
Yeah.
to repel it. So that's one of the biggest things, as well. And of course, this if you're talking just marketing and sales wise, a lot of folks are struggling with inconsistent sales. So like I show
Mhm.
them my process, my sales process and model, which is like going from a horse and buggy to a Porsche. It's like you want the same outcome. I always ask folks, is there a law against getting paid fast? Is it? I mean, do you got to wait a year for someone to give you money? No, you don't. Well, if you can do it in
No.
5 days instead of a year, do it in 5 days. So that's
Right.
one of the ways. And plus, also, I help them create a book funnel.
Mm.
So it's like two
That's
main things I help them do. We create virtual event challenges. Of course, we do some other stuff to fuel it, but
yeah,
also book funnels. Because I
beautiful.
believe every coach, consultant, course creator, online entrepreneur should have a book funnel, not just a book funnel,
There we go.
right? Because like my book is in a book funnel, and yeah, it sells on Amazon, all that. But
Mm.
a book funnel separates you because most folks in your niche don't have a book funnel. They may have a book, but the average author only makes $1,000 in book sales. You
Mm.
know, we we make money passively with
There
our
we go.
book funnel, and it's way more money than we'll ever get paid from Amazon.
Mm.
Plus, with a book funnel, I know who's buying it. I can follow up with him, so it leads him to, my main offer. So that's like the two main things I help people do is showing them, hey, create an asset. You want to create an asset, right? And so I help them be able to create an asset that they can pay them for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years of their life.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and that's what you want. That's what wealthy people do. They use leverage. They create assets. So it's like you buy real estate as an asset,
Right.
your products, your program, your services, your
Yeah.
books, things you put in there, courses can all be income producing assets for you for years to come online as well.
Absolutely. I love it. So we've been talking about the last D of our process, right? Discover, develop, distribute, which comes from the parable of the talents, right? The one that had one, two, and five. God,
Mm,
never verbally said, "Hey, like with our gifts." He doesn't say, "Chris, this is your gift. David, this is your gift." You have to go discover it. So that's the first step. Two, you God expects us to develop it, just like the stewards that He gave the talent to. And then third is implied is distribution, which you're talking about right now, which I love it.
Mhm.
Which is God doesn't give you a gift to keep for yourself. It's to be
Right.
marketed to the marketplace and to help other people, which also in turn helps you.
Right.
So I mean, you just hit on something really powerful about book marketing, live event marketing, virtual event marketing. All of these things are critical, and I just feel like people need to learn and know more about that. So where can people that want to say, hey, Chris, I want to learn what you just said. I want the rapid success system in my
Yeah.
life. How,
Yeah.
where can they get
Yeah.
hold of
They can go to chrissharrell.com. I actually got a 6 funnel sales blueprint there where they actually you can get access to that blueprint there at no charge by going to chrissharrell.com. And you touched on something I like to share. We think of an apple, right? The apple is a very unique fruit. And God revealed this to me that, like you said, our gifts are not for self-consumption.
Mm,
Well, just like an apple is not for self-consumption. Think about it. Apple has 4 main parts.
that's right.
Who do you know eats the seeds of an apple, eats the core of an apple, eats the stem of an apple? Nobody, right?
Right.
We're like, why would God make this? Well, think about it. You have the apple, the fruit part we can consume, but it's three
Mm,
other parts. Number one is the seed.
mm,
Why are there seeds in there? So now we can go out and multiply and
mm,
create more apples and produce more and benefit others. So you put the seeds in the ground and now it can multiply. Okay, so now we know what the seeds are for. Well, what about the core? Well, guess what? The core of an apple can be used to feed animals, right?
mm,
Cows and horses, right? And those can be used to benefit mankind. So animals can eat on the core. And the stem of an apple can be used as fertilizer. A lot of folks don't realize that. And fertilizer does what? Multiplies what you put in the ground.
Jesus.
So even
That's so
something as simple as an apple is not for our self-consumption.
mm,
So our gifts are the same way. God
mm,
doesn't give us this just for us to consume ourselves.
that's right.
Mm.
Woo!
If I was
That
about to
is
eat a whole apple, that brother gonna be sick.
oh man,
Same
dude.
thing. Use your gifts on yourself, you're gonna be sick as well. Ask me how I know.
Mm, Jesus.
Mm.
Man, that is fire. That like I have to be real. That's one of the best things I've ever heard in a long time. I'm in a lot of different rooms. I'm in a lot of different matches. A lot of like that is such a clear concept. Like that is so deep. We do this show. I've interviewed hundreds of people. That was mind blowing for me personally. I mean, that just like I love visuals. Thank you, man. Like that might be another book you need to write or put something like that's
That might
powerful.
be. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's powerful, brother.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Awesome.
well, yeah, wait, y'all. I mean, if this is how it is, if y'all getting this much value from this brother on the podcast, what is it going to be like in his coaching program? What is it going to be like in his other offers? So please, please, please get plugged in to my brother's rapid success system and get plugged into the different links. We'll be posting everything in the show notes. chrissharrell.com. Also, he's got a challenge. Can we plug that too?
Yeah, 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 yep.
Okay. Be a better marketer challenge.com. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's actually it's a brand new challenge I've been inspired to do. I've done different challenges since I've been using virtual event challenge models since 2020, different ones. But this one here, I'm really excited about because we recently got a chance to be a part of another mastermind where I met you in, and
Sure.
having a phenomenal mentor and phenomenal people like you in this. And this was inspired by our mentor in that program, Myron Golden, and
Sure.
uh, he understood what I did. He said, "Dude, you should do a challenge called Be a Better Marketer Challenge.com." I said, "Done deal."
Ooh. Mm,
He said,
mm,
"So I'm excited because yeah, and so because reason why I thought about it, like, what's the biggest issue that people are having today online?"
marketing.
Yeah, it's not that they don't have offers to sell. Of course, it's not that they don't have money to grow their business. It's not that they don't have gifts and talents that can benefit other people.
Right.
They don't know how to get in front of the right people.
That's
So
it.
guess what? You can't you can't sell more of your offers if you can't get in front of the right people.
That's
You
it.
can't you can't create the impact on people's lives if you can't get in front of the right people,
That's it.
right? So we put the cart before the horse. Let me, folks like let me show how to do these other things, and that's great. But this is the very foundation. And the number one reason people are stumped and stuck in their business because they don't know how to market themselves. They don't know how to clearly articulate a message to attract their audience in a noisy place.
Yeah.
So this here is going to be like the science of marketing. I'm going to break down the science and of it, and so in a really cool and awesome way. And so I'm very excited with this virtual event challenge here. Be a better marketer challenge.com, because the moment you become a better marketer, you can sell more of your offers. You can create more impact. You can do more good in the world. You can sell your books. You can sell your courses. You can do all. You can get more visible. You can increase your reach. You can get more fans. You get more followers. But you have to know how to market first. You can't make sales without marketing. It's marketing and sales, not sales and marketing. The marketing comes before that. So this here is like the foundation that every coach, consultant, entrepreneur needs to know how to do first before you can even talk about offers and selling your stuff. So yeah, so that's what really inspired this here, to get people that foundation piece so you can go out and sell the things that you truly want to sell.
I love it. Awesome sauce. That's great. That's great. Y'all get plugged in. We'll make sure we plug those links on the show notes and everything. The last question I have for you, brother, is, you weren't prepped on this. You weren't prepped on any of these questions.
Right, exactly.
Right.
That's the best way.
He's going off the cuff, right?
Yeah. We freestyling it, like in rap days, freestyle hyphen.
Love it. What's the difference between one's purpose and one's gift? One's purpose.
Yeah.
And one's gift.
Well, the gift, I know the very word, gift in Greek is like charisma. I believe, now a gift, there's a verse in the Bible, Proverbs 16:18 says, man's gift will make room for him and bring it for great men. Now, that word gift, though, is not how most people teach it. That word gift in the Hebrew actually means a financial endowment, because if you see the reference verses from Genesis on up, and that verse was written by a king, and kings understood that you never come before the presence of a king empty-handed, right? So, and so you understand a kingdom perspective with the Bible, you realize that we're kings. You're a king, I'm a king, right? Our female counterparts, they're queens, right? They're royalty, and we should never come into one another's presence without giving a gift, right? So that's a whole other kingdom program. I talk about this kind of stuff in my podcast and my books, all that kind of stuff, right? Whole other concept. But a gifting, can be a little bit dealing with your skills, a little bit dealing with your passions. A gift is something that maybe some other folks might find hard, but it's easy to you, right? But you got to develop it, right? But you have to develop it. Your purpose, that's the very intention, the reason why God put you on this planet, right? And it took me many, many decades to finally discover that purpose, right? Where this is what I'm made for. This, when I purpose something, this is the intention of it, right? And the only way for anybody to know their purpose is to go to the one who created you, your creator, right? You got your phone. I got an iPhone here. Well, you and I would never know the purpose of this phone unless I really go to the manual that Apple created. Because why? Because they created it, and every manufacturer wants their products to prosper and succeed.
That's right.
So I tell these folks all day, that's why God wants you to prosper and succeed. Because you're his product. There's no manufacturer in existence want their products to fail and succeed.
Wow.
But unless you get the operator's manual and apply what the operator's manual said, that's why mankind is malfunctioning, because mankind chooses not to read the operation manual. They're experimenting, right? So, but because that's not what you were purposed to do. And that's not what the intention of the creator made you for. So the creator, their purpose has to do with the very significance of why God brought you here. And I believe God brought each and every one of us here, different giftings, different talents, different interests, different passions, to benefit one another, to benefit his creation and benefit mankind. And we need to leave this place better than what we found it. If you do that, you fulfilled your purpose, no matter if you made $10 billion or if you made was $100,000, right? You fulfilled your purpose then. So purpose is eternal, they're very intentional. I mean, gifting, can be a lot of different variables with giftings, but you got to develop it at the same time. So hopefully that kind of explained my definition of the difference between a gift and purpose.
It's very clear, very clear.
Awesome.
Blessing us with that, man. Truly.
Yeah.
And Brother, thank you for coming on the show,
Oh,
man.
well, I
And
appreciate the invite. So you got to come on my show next.
I'll be honored. Be an
Yes,
honor.
sir. Yes, sir. We're gonna come on mine next. So we definitely gonna do that.
So, is there anything still on your heart that you feel like we didn't tackle or didn't talk about that you feel like you just want to bless people with or share about that I didn't ask you?
I get. I guess I would say this: value time.
Mm,
Like David said, I recently celebrated a birthday. I hit a milestone. I hit 50 recently, and I've always valued time. But as you keep celebrating birthdays, you realize the time is infinitely more important than money.
mm,
So use your money to buy time to do the things you truly want to do.
yeah,
Don't put off a decision because you think you don't have the money, because money's all around us. Because what's going to happen is you can put it off, and the only thing's for certain is 5 years from now, you're going to be 5 years older.
that's right.
But more than likely, you're not going to be any closer to that goal. And sooner or later, God is going to say, your time is up. Time to give an account for the life I've given you, because we're a steward, and God's given us things to steward here. So value time,
Yeah,
make the most out of your time and use money to buy time to do the things that you truly want to do or truly love to do and the things God has called you to do.
man,
Value time more than money, because money come and go, time does not.
that's good. Wow, brother, thank you so much for blessing folks, blessing me. Tremendous having you on the show, my brother. Truly, truly. And we'll plug all the notes there for people to
Thank you. Appreciate it.
value that you've dropped.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you, brother.
All
Thank you.
right.